All right, guys, so what we're doing today is going over 2.4. This here is the last part of Chapter 2 that we're going to cover. Making sure that's set up to the right volume. Because I don't know if some of y'all have watched the videos and they've heard this kind of clicking noise throughout it. For some reason, I think there's audio feedback if the volume is set to the speaker in the computer itself and not to these headsets. I don't know why it's doing it, but as long as I keep it straight to this here, it shouldn't happen. Now, the two equations we're going to look at today are these here. So we have vertex form, which we've covered before, a parentheses x minus h squared plus k. Where the vertex is h comma k, we'll be given that and a point. Now what we did yesterday is we were given the vertex in focus, vertex directrix, axis of symmetry. We have those different components and we dealt with h, k, and p. Well, the 1 over 4p really is in place of a. Now for these here, we're not given the focus or directrix, so we won't have a p value to plug in. We're just going to be dealing with a and a point on the parabola. And then we'll also deal with the X-intercept form, y equals a times x minus p times x minus q, where we're given p and q, the intercepts, either as p and q or as the points p comma 0 and q comma 0, and a point on the graph. And we're going to find the equation. Now, I worked these out, and these note sheets aren't going to line up exactly with what we have or what I have on the board, but we're really just walking through it. Now, when we look at this here, we're given the vertex, 3, 2, and told that it passes through, the parabola passes through the point 13, 8. Which type of equation are we dealing with? Y equals a times x minus h squared plus k, or y equals a parentheses x minus p, close parentheses, open parentheses, x minus q, close parentheses. So we're given what? Vertex, yes? Which one of those two equations has a vertex? The vertex form, yes? So we're going to be dealing with the general form of y equals a parentheses x minus h squared plus k. Because it told us a vertex and a point, so we're using vertex form. Now, in this general equation, to get the actual equation, what variables do I need to know the values of? Well, a, h, and k, because if I know the value of a, h, and k, I will have the equation of the parabola. Yes? So step number 2, what are the variables that we are using in this equation? Well, a, h, and k. So out of these here, do we know the value of a? Well, not really. It didn't tell us a. H is, and k is 2, because what is the vertex? H comma k, yes? So we do know h and k, and that's step 3. Yep. So h equals 3, k equals 2. It would not, because since the vertex is just the point, h comma k. Now in the equation it will show up as x minus 3, but the value itself is just 3. Now I will tell you this here on the homework, you are not going to have to write it out like this here, like the steps we're going through, okay? Because heck, we can just have this so far. Okay, let's flip the page. Well, are there any variables that we need to solve for or find? Well, yes. Do we know what the value of a is? No. But I do know that the equation does pass through this point. This point is contained on the parabola. So whenever we plug 13 into x, the y value will be 8. Okay. So really in this equation, you don't have to write this down yet. Well, I know that I have x minus 3 squared plus 2, because that's the value of h and k, yes? Now, again, the only value we don't know is a, yes? But no matter what a is, whatever a's specific value is, when I plug 13 in for x, y will come out to be 8, yes? So really all I need to do is define the value of a. So to do that, what we can do is set it up as 8 equals a parentheses 13 minus 3 squared plus 2. Because if I plug that point into the equation, it works. Because if I plug 13 in for x, whatever a is, when multiplied by that set of parentheses squared and added to 2, will give us 8. So I can use that point to solve for the value of a. So in solving for the value of a, well, we can do 13 minus 3 is 10 squared plus 2. What is 10 squared? 100, so 100 times a would be 100a plus 2. What would we do next? Subtract 2 from both sides, which would give us that 6 is equal to 100a. Now what would we do next? Divide both sides by 100. Well, 100a divided by 100 is just a. Now we have 6 divided by 100, which is 3 over 50, because 2 is the only number that will go into both 6 and 100. So we get 3/50. Questions on this here? So now do we have a, h, and k? Okay. So the equation would be y equals 3 over 50, parentheses, x minus 3 squared plus 2. That's it. And that's it. Now, did we need all of these steps? No. And especially when y'all do the assignment, you don't have to go into all these steps. Okay? Because I wanted to draw out exactly what we're doing, what equations we're using. Questions on this here? So we're told that the vertex is negative 5, 9, and it passes through the point negative 7, comma negative 15. Which of the two equations are we going to use? The vertex form, because we were given a vertex. So on your note sheet, you can just go on and circle the vertex form. So what are the variables that we're using in the general equation? So step number 2, well, we're still using a, h, and k. Well, we know the values of what? H is, and k is 9. So the one we don't know is a. Now we can plug what we do know into the equation, because we can say y equals a parentheses x what? Plus 5, because x minus negative 5 is the same as x plus 5 plus 9. So we could write that on that line if we want. But really, what are we saying? We're going to use this to solve for the value of a, yes? because this equation does pass through the point -7, -13, -15. So depending, or well, not depending, whatever the value of a is, when I plug -7 in for x, we should get -15 for y. So if I want to solve it, all I've got to do is say -15 is equal to a times -7 plus 5 squared plus 9. And this here would give me the value of a. So what can we do first? Well, we can do -7 plus 5 is squared plus 9. Well, -2 squared is +4, because negative times a negative is a positive. 2 times 2 is 4. And what can we do next? Well, subtract 9 from both sides, as those would cancel, and this would be -24 is equal to 4a. And last but not least, we can both sides by 4, telling me a is equal to so our equation would be y equals what? Parentheses, x plus 5 squared plus 9. That's it. So really, what are we doing in these here to find the equation? To solve for a, we plug h and k in, use the point to solve for a, and plug a back in. Any questions on this here? Okay, well, they didn't give us a vertex and a point. Do y'all think this is going to be any different? Because, well, we're not going to use vertex form because we're given 2 intercepts. So that means we're sticking with y equals a parentheses x minus p times x minus q. So this time we're not using a, h, and k. We're using a, p, and q. That's supposed to be a comma between a and p. It's supposed to be a, comma, p, comma, q. But I do know the values of 2 of these. Well, I know p is, and q is. Could I have flipped those? Well, yeah, I mean, p and q are just where it crosses the x values of where the graph crosses the x-axis. So just p and q are arbitrarily picked. So in the equation, times, because x minus -7, the negative and negative would make a positive, so you'd have +7, and x minus -3 would be x plus 3. Because we can plug those in, since we know those values, yes? Well, even though it looks different than the 2 we did before, yeah. Because how would we find the value of a? We would plug in the point, because it passes through 2, comma, 0.5, -2, comma, 0.5. So when it is 0.05, when y is 0.05, our x value is -2. Because when we plug x into each of the 2 x's and simplify, we should get a y value of 0.05. So we can use this to find the value of a. Well, -2 plus 7 is -2 plus 3. Well, a times 5 times 1, it would just be 5a. And last but not least, what can we do? Okay. So then we just need to do 0.05 divided by 5, which is 0.01. So y equals what? Point times x plus 7 times x plus 3. So the overall steps, the general steps for what we're doing really didn't change. Because we just plugged the information in, solved for A, plugged it back in. And that's it. That's all we do for this here. Questions on this? Let's look at this one here. Because the point -16, 0 and -2, 0 are the x-intercepts. Because whenever the y value is 0, that x value is where it crosses the x-axis. An x-intercept is any point where the y value is 0. Y values are always 0 at the x-intercept. So that means for us here, the values of p and q are both what? And q is? Because these are the values when plugged into the function will give us a y value of 0. Will give us a y value of 0. So p and q are -16 and -2. Because I skipped over part 2 because we're using a, p, and q. These are the ones that are equal. Now we can plug it into the function and say y is equal to a parentheses x what? Plus 16 and x plus 2 because the negative and negative make a. Well, to find the value of a, we're going to do what? Plug in the point, -18 and 72. So we're saying that 72 is equal to a times -18 plus 16 times -18 plus 2. 72 is equal to. Now, we can do this by hand, or really what we're doing is we're multiplying this here, yes? Is everything there except for a number? Well, yeah, in the calculator I can pull up parentheses. -18 plus 16, close parentheses, open parentheses, -18 plus 2, close parentheses, and hit enter. And it'd calculate it for me. If I did it by hand, well, -18 plus 16 is -2. -18 plus 2 is -16. Well, negative and a negative make a. 16 times 2 is 32. For those of you who did plug it in, I believe it gave you 32, yes? Yeah. And then we would both sides by 32, and we get that a is equal to what? Because 2 point what? That works because it's 2 1/4, or see here, because 1/4, 9/4. Because any of these here are the same value. So our equation is what y is equal to? X 16 and x plus. And that's it. Questions on any of this here? We're good with these here. So we ready for what's next? Do we need to see another example with vertex or X-intercepts? We're good with these here. That's it. And we are done with chapter 2.